Definitely, I think we should take this opportunity to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks a little bit. It's a team that we cover a lot, obviously, ever since your dad became the coach. But
Yeah.
I just looking at the roster, and I saw what their projected starting lineup is going to be. It looks like Kuzma might be off the bench. They're going to start AJ Green, who they just signed to an extension. I was looking at this roster, and I saw all the shooting surrounding Giannis, and I thought about how weak the Eastern Conference is. Obviously, we've talked about that. Everyone's been talking about how weak the Eastern Conference is. Do I like the Milwaukee Bucks this year? Like I'm go look at the shooting, the depth. You and me are fans of Cole Anthony, and we know on any given night he can explode for a big quarter or a big night. How much do you like this team? Now that you're in Milwaukee right now doing the interviews, are you kind of sipping the Kool Aid a little bit?
I you know, when you put it like that and you start thinking about the landscape of the Eastern Conference and how there's not really a powerhouse team that's proven itself. Now, there are really good teams who have had successful seasons. Cleveland had the, league's best record last year. Obviously, the Knicks are a very powerful team with a lot of star power, all these different things, but these aren't proven teams that have gone to the finals and are just a landslide better than everybody else. Especially Cleveland, they've had their own issues, especially in the playoffs performing. Um, that's who's ahead of them. So when you take a team that does have a guy like Giannis, who has won a championship, led a team there before, anything's possible. And then to piggyback on the point that you alluded to, when you look at their roster and you start seeing how much shooting they have around a top two or three player in the NBA, in the world for that matter, yeah, they're dangerous. They're in the mix. I talked about it briefly today with a few of their players. They feel like they're in the mix, man. Like I just being there at their practice, watching these guys play, how serious the practice was, guys locking in, and then after I'm having conversations with Kuzma. Kuzma's talking about his team. He's like, man, I'm actually really happy here. I have a role. I don't have to do too much. He goes, listen, Washington was fun for a lot of reasons. I kind of got to go out there and do what I wanted, but we are really bad. And I wasn't really cut out for that. And he was like, not that he can't be a star player or doesn't have that talent, because Kuzma is very talented, but he's like, I get to play and star in a role here, and I'm excited to do that. Mind you, I didn't even know he was coming off the bench. So the fact that he's talking to me like this with that approach and that humility means he's already kind of accepted that role. It's also a long season. I'm sure he's going to wear many hats. There'll be nights where I'm sure he starts plenty of games. Um, but they have a lineup full of guys that pretty much can stretch the floor for Giannis. And then they have more substitutions of guys who can stretch the floor for Giannis. So they're in the mix. When you think about the East, you think of Cleveland, New York. And then after that, it's Atlanta, Orlando. Yeah, Atlanta, Orlando. And then I think the other team that'd be in there is Milwaukee. And Milwaukee's a team that's least talked about. I think Atlanta people are excited about, and Orlando people are excited about. The Knicks, everyone's excited about them. Cleveland people know they're good, but we're wondering what's it going to take for them to get over that hump. Milwaukee's a team that kind of just floats under the radar. I think you're right, Pasha. I think they could actually have a season here where they might put something together and be competitive.
And you think about a guy like Miles Turner, who's been on the trading block for the Pacers for this entire decade. And this is the first time he's going to a team where he knows he's wanted. He doesn't have to think about the trading block, right? Came off an amazing year going to the finals. I can't imagine a better pairing for Giannis than a guy that could space the floor like Miles Turner, protect the rim like Miles Turner, who's going to be hungry, who just went to the finals, so he has the experience like Miles Turner. They could be the potentially the best 4 or 5 combination in the NBA. A lot
Well,
of it hinges on, and you could give me a little more insight on this. What you think about Kevin Porter Jr. being he's your main guy, he's your point guard, he's your ball handler now. That's a big if. For them to be successful, he's got to assume that position. He's got to be good at it. What are your thoughts on him being able to do that? I know you think he's really talented.
listen, talk about the basketball gods rewarding someone who's kind of had his trials and tribulations. This is a guy who was in the fringe of ever playing in the NBA ever again a few years ago. He was in a low level overseas league. I remember looking at clips of him and I'm like, man, this guy's done. For him to be not only back in the NBA, but he's a starting point guard for a competing Eastern Conference team to where it's make or break. Like a lot of their season is dependent upon his play. Is remarkable. It just shows you how it works if you just stay with it, how life can work. This is bigger than just basketball. Just in life, when things aren't going your way, you just got to stay with it. You just don't know where you'll end up. This is a bit better and bigger role than he ever had in Houston,
Right.
because he started for Houston, but they were a shit show. They were like a trial team. It was a mess. They weren't good. This is a real ball club. with a team that just won a championship not that long ago, with arguably one of the greatest power forwards of all time, and a team full of veteran players, proven players, a coach that wants to win now, and he's a starting point guard, and people are high on him. I mean, everybody when his name was brought up today at that practice facility, it was just all, man, this dude's talented. Man, this guy, scoot this, scoot that. People believe that Kevin Porter Jr. can be an all-star talent and a guy who could surprise a lot of people. We talk about most improved. This is a guy who could have a big time year that's set up just due to his minute increase. His numbers last year to this year should be drastic. And yeah, there's got to be worry, not due to his incapability, just due to the fact that we don't have a proven track record of Kevin Porter Jr. leading a team as a starting point guard on a winning team. So that's the what if. What we do know is he's extremely talented. What we do know is all the off the court issues, all that stuff's pretty much, not pretty much, it's all behind him. We haven't had any incidents, any issues. Everyone likes him there on the team. The people I was talking to today. So we'll see. This is a big year for him. I do know that if it goes well and he performs like what I'm hearing, I mean, talk about a career 180.
Right.
That's what this would be.
And I think what you said was you hit it right on the head. If things go wrong in your career, right, a lot of it's self-inflicted. If you're that talented, you could get another shot, right? And he probably knows this is another shot. He must be that talented.
Talent gives you chances. Okay.
Yeah.
Talent gives you, let's just talk for what it is. All right. It's not equal opportunity because it's not an equal opportunity league and it's not an equal opportunity world. For those who have more talent than others, sometimes you can get a chance or two, maybe even three. If I was a second round pick and I had a shitty first couple years with the Hornets / Pelicans, I don't know if my dad or even the Clippers or anybody would have been like, oh, we'll take them. Boston, who traded for me at the time. I don't know if anybody had any interest in me, but I was a top pick 2 years prior as the number one player in high school. People are like, yeah, we'll give him another chance. It might be the wrong fit. It could be Monty. Do you know those? You know what I'm saying? So like, that's what happens. Kevin Porter Jr. had some off the court stuff, had some stuff on the court, blah, blah, blah. He's overseas now in a league. People are like, nah, people tend to gravitate towards someone with that much talent. And then now that he's, like you said, if you could just be consistent enough to give people a reason to give you a chance, they will if you got talent. He's done that. He's done the hard part. He went overseas, stayed out of trouble, came back, stayed out of trouble. He's performed well when given the opportunity. Last year, he came in mid-season with the Bucks, played very, very well. Or not midseason. He came. What time? When he get signed? He signed. Regardless, doesn't even matter. Whenever he came,
He
to the
came
Bucks,
along when Kuzma came along with it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So whatever that time period was, came along. When the season had already started, people didn't really know what they were going to get from him, and he was a great surprise. He played so well that this summer there wasn't a question that they were bringing him back. They also felt comfortable waiving Damian Lillard, even though he was injured. We know that's why. That was also due to like, hey, we got this young guy who's like really hungry still. Kevin Porter Jr. hasn't signed a max contract. He's hungry as fuck. He's also had all these trials and tribulations to his early career. This is the biggest opportunity and chance that Kevin Porter Jr. has gotten and maybe ever will get in his basketball career. You're going to get the best version of a very talented, young, hungry guard. They're betting on that. So it's exciting.
And you talking about, talent kind of prevails and you get other opportunities. That reminds me of a lot of GMs that'll take a chance on a guy that was maybe a top player in the nation. McDonald's All-American. They did their 1 year in college. It didn't go that well. Maybe they slip into the second round, but then like, hey, 2 years ago, this guy was the top prospect and was one of the best players in high school. So you'll see a guy like maybe Naz Reid, for example, who was a top player in high school, goes to college. Maybe it didn't go as well, but then he's back then he goes on the Timberwolves. He does really well, signs a big contract. He's right where he was supposed to be. He just took a weird way, right? And that, if you were a GM, would you take a risk on a lot of guys like that? Like a lot of guys that they were really good, highly ranked players, but maybe depending on what college they went to, their opportunity is not. People don't understand the thing about college, and you know it too. Going to Duke, that might have worked out for you. You led the ACC in scoring. You did all these things. But a lot of people, they pick the wrong situation, or they don't get along with the coach, and then they go to the NBA because they were supposed to be one and done. They're still the talented guy, right? Maybe their stock kind of goes up and down.
Yep, that's where like we always talk about how it's situational, and that translates to every level: high school, college, to the NBA, where you could see a top level player who just dominated 6 months prior now in college, and he's not performing well. It's not always It's not always just cut and clear like that. Um, and we've seen it work out and not work out in cases. We've seen guys who were top level players go to a college, play good, not great, but still teams will be like, we'll take him because he knows he's Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish is a guy who was, if you talk to his high school peers, they thought this guy was going to be Tracy McGrady. I mean, that's how he was kind of received. And then he goes to Duke, played good. He didn't play great, but he played good. And it was at Duke, which matters. So then he goes lottery, and then it just didn't really pan out. And then there's been other players who have. By the way, with the way I'm seeing this work now in this new NBA, Kevin Porter Jr., for instance, Cam Reddish's story's not done yet. Cam Reddish could be back in the NBA in 2 years from now with a whole new level of humility and experience from playing overseas. Maybe he goes overseas and Cam, who has all the utensils, things you can't teach, feel, scoring ability, all this stuff, maybe he learns how to play without the ball. Maybe he learns how to move without the ball because that's what you have to do in Europe. You know what I'm saying? You start picking up on things as an adult, as a grown man. He's going to go overseas and he's going to become a grown man. It's not going to be the same as the NBA. You don't play in these 5-star arenas and stay at 5-star hotels all the time and do all these different things. He's going to go there and have all these things. If you don't think these things have helped Kevin Porter Jr. to where now he's come back and people are raving about how he's, leveled up, not just as a basketball player, but as a human being, as a man, these things can happen. I think it's always worth taking a shot on a top level player.
That's a really good point you made. I think you and me could both agree. A few years ago, if a player went overseas, their career was kind of over in the NBA.
It was done. It was done.
Dante Exum was one of the ones. Dante Exum was one of the ones I could think of in recent history that went overseas, went to Barcelona, I believe, came back to the Mavericks.
I'm not calling him a trailblazer because it's happened before. There's been guys, Pargo. A lot of guys have gone over, come back. It's happened. Nick Calaitis has gone over. I get all that. But, usually Nick went over to stay. But a lot of guys, when they go, they go. And it's been, if we're talking about history, usually when a guy leaves the NBA to go overseas, they usually don't come back. Mike James is one of these guys who have done it. There's examples and exceptions. Dante Exum is one of those guys that was like a top-level talent guy who coming out, being drafted, was very highly touted, went overseas, and then came right back. That's something that I do think will be more common now. You're going to see some of these top-level players, especially with how fast and how young they're coming in the NBA, not be ready, go overseas, get a little manhood, and then come back over here and be a lot better. And people will be like, oh, my God, he improved. No, his game was always there. There's a lot of mature. These kids are like 20, 19, 21. Their stories are so far from written. Even Kevin, think about all the stuff he's gone through. How old is Kevin Porter Jr.? He's in his mid-20s? Yeah. He's a kid. He's a young man. This dude is you know what I'm saying? And he's talented as hell. So I do think that'll be more common.
And there's another guy like Taylor Horton Tucker who I saw who's playing in Turkey. Yeah, it's like in a couple years, if you're an NBA team.
I don't understand the law of physics with him. He's built like he's built like a retired steel worker or he has the body of my grandfather, but he has this quirkiness, shiftiness to him. He's as wide as ever. He's like as wide as a wall. He's a bag of flour. But I saw a clip of him the other day on a fast break. This dude took off, bro. And I gotta again though, another a KPJ, 25 years old, by the way. Tucker's another guy I do believe we'll see back in the NBA. He's talented as shit. He's definitely a guy that could come off someone's bench and provide some offense. So yeah, I do think that'll be more common. There's talent out there that doesn't always work out. You got to go places, and Tucker's had success already in the NBA in certain spots. So that wouldn't surprise me. It's actually surprising he's not on a roster already, to be honest. But,
Well, NBA needs expansion more than ever. Some of the guys that haven't been signed this offseason, and even Russ getting signed as early as
Did you love his interview?
Recently.